Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This week's video is a reading vlog. These past few months, like April and May, are like literally like it's like book palooza or something. Like books are being published left and right. So I wanted to do a video dedicated to some of these new releases that are being published here in May, because I have actually already read all the ones that came out in April, like the Emily Henry, the Abby Jimenez, Chesa Hastings. Those new books I've already read. So I'm gonna read some of the new ones that are being published here out through May. So the first book I'm going to be reading is Silver Elite by Danny Francis, which you have probably heard about if you're on Book Talk, because this book is literally everywhere. Like I feel like it's like the new Fourth Wing. Not that they're the same book, but just in like popularity wise of a new like fantasy kind of book, except this isn't exactly fantasy. I think it's dystopian. Danny Francis, from what I've heard or what I've learned, is apparently a pen name for a New York Times bestseller author, but we don't know like who the author is, at least not at this moment when I'm filming this. So that's kind of interesting. Some people are thinking Elsie Silver because supposedly this author is Canadian, but I don't know. And also Silver Elite is very close to Elsie Silver, like the name. So, but this is book number 1. It came out, I think, a few days ago, maybe May 6th, I think, and today is May 12th. So it's been out for almost a week, but I was reading a few books for the last reading vlog. Literally finished that vlog yesterday, and now we're starting this today. Let's get reading, guys. I have a little bit of time right now, and then I'll continue to read while I'm at work.
Hi guys, quick little intermission just to clarify that this video was filmed over a month ago in my old apartment, so just bear that in mind that this video is a little bit old because I am behind on editing and I wanted to get my moving vlog out first. So yeah, it is a little bit behind and these new releases aren't as new anymore, but I hope you still want to watch the video.
Hello beautiful people, it's time for an update because it's now 9:30 and I just got home from work and I've been reading Silver Elite while I was there. And I am 26% through and I am in chapter 14. So I feel like that's like a fitting time to give an update, and also just first of all I want to explain what the book is about if you haven't heard of this book, because I mean I'd never heard about it until Book Talk like last week or something. It's been everywhere. But basically it's about Ren, who is a 20-year-old girl, and it's this dystopian kind of world. They talk about some cities and some states in the US. So this is supposed to be like something happened and this is like the aftermath where they're in like different wards. So like there's a C ward and E ward and stuff like that. Like it's divided into letters. And then there's like the point, which is like more like the rich people and stuff like that. And then as in like with most dystopian or fantasies, it's one where there's two people who are divided because one has powers and one doesn't. And in some books it's the one who has power who are the ones who are like better than everyone, and in some it's the one who don't have powers. And in this one it is the people who don't have powers who are like the force. So anyone who has powers, they're called modifiers or like mods, and that's Ren. She's a modifier, but she can't tell anyone, because if you are known to be a modifier you will either get killed or like be used as a slave. And being a modifier means that you are a mind reader, like you can read other people's minds, and you can also talk to each other in your minds. Like you can create a link with someone and then it doesn't matter how far you are away from each other, you can like speak through your mind, which is so cool. I feel like oftentimes when I see that, it's like you're supposed to be kind of close to each other, but in this instance like you're supposed to be really far away. And then it's like they have silver blood or something, so if you use those powers, like if you're using your mind powers, then your veins will glow silver. But for Ren, something is like not wrong, but she doesn't know why, but for her it doesn't glow silver, so no one knows that she's a modifier, and she can speak to people all she wants and no one will know. With all that being said, like the plot of the story is that Ren lives with her uncle and he gets taken by the point, and then she tries to rescue him. She ends up going to like a boot camp or like soldiers camp something to become a silver elite, basically. Like it's like the highest soldiers, and they learn how to truly like block out the modifiers and stuff. So she's right now in that like soldier camp whatever. So like that's kind of where I'm at in the story right now, and I haven't read the blurb or anything, so I don't actually know like if there's like a bigger plot than that, but I assume this is going to be a series. Or actually I don't know if this is a series. I think it is going to be a series, but I'm actually really enjoying it right now. Like I like it. It's in first person point of view, which is always a big plus for me. I like Ren, and I haven't read anything before where the powers are mind reading in that sense, and where you can talk to each other like in your mind. I think that's really cool and kind of unique. So like it's dystopian, but it also is a bit of fantasy in the sense they have powers, but I guess that's the same way in Shatter Me, how that's dystopian. And I assume the love interest here is like the mean guy who is the commander of the camp or whatever he is. Like he's the commander of something. Those are the updates for now. I'm going to continue to read until I go to bed. So overall, really enjoying this. Hi guys, it is now the next day and it's 4:30. I'm home from school and I'm just reading my book, which I've also read on my commute today. So I'm now 53% through, which means obviously I'm halfway. It's chapter 29. I'm really enjoying this book. Like I can feel the tension between the two like love interests. It is only like, it's not dual point of view or anything, but you can just tell. It's kind of giving Divergent, if that makes sense. Like I know this book is marketed as like Hunger Games for adults, but I don't really feel that. I feel like it's more Divergent because like there's no games, but in contrast to like Divergent, it is kind of like there are these different wards and then you can be put into like a different one. So like obviously she went to this like, not a camp, but basically like the elite, like the best of the best, and you go through all these tests and you learn how to do archery and how to fight and all these things. And I feel like that's exactly what Divergent is. Like obviously it's not the exact same. There aren't like these different sections where you then have to choose one day which sections you want to be in, but it's the same in the way that like she's at this training facility with these other people, and people get cut off and you get scores and stuff just like in Divergent. And then there's the mean guy who's like the head of it, except I guess 4 in Divergent is not like the head of everything, but he's still like a mean guy who's an instructor, and you can just tell that he likes her. Makes me a little bit giddy whenever they interact because I can just tell that he's hot. His name is Cross and I can just tell he's hot, you know? Like the way he acts, he's not like overly mean. It's not like other books with like, I'm trying to think, Resand or Satan, who seem mean in the beginning. This is kind of different because he's not really mean. He's kind of toying with her, being sarcastic, flirting, making jokes, stuff like that. It's going to make my skin crawl that I'm gonna have to wait a long time for the second book. My update is just that I really like it. I think the writing style is super easy to understand. I like the characters. I like her little friends that she's made and the main character, and just I think it's really good. And I know that this book gets a lot of hate. It's actually like kind of mixed. Like I either see people love it or I see people hate it, and the people who hate it are really judgy of the people who like it. But I'm sorry, I like it. I think this is a fun, silly little book, and it's entertaining, which is all I ask for in a book. But I'm gonna read some more. Hello guys, long time no see. I think the last time I talked in this vlog was maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I honestly don't remember. I think I finished Silver Elite on Wednesday. Also, don't mind the fact that I'm in a robe. I have to go to work soon and I don't want to put on my work clothes yet. But I think that I finished Silver Elite Wednesday and today is Sunday, so it's been a while. But it's been a busy few days. I haven't really had like the time to sit down and talk to the camera. But now here we are. So let's talk about it. I rate this book a 4 stars. I think it was so good and I don't understand all the hate on it that I see on Book Talk and stuff. But I love the main guy, like Cross. New book boyfriend unlocked, like for sure. I'm obsessed. I love him. And I think the main character Ren is also really cool. I love the sarcasm. And what I would describe this book as is like a mix between Divergent, Fourth Wing, and Shatter Me, kind of. Because it's like, it's a controlled environment and the people who have powers are the ones who are like kind of being oppressed. And they're like not the people in power, you know? Like they're kind of being hidden away in Shatter Me. And that's the same thing as here, kind of. Not obviously not exactly the same and the powers aren't the same at all. But it's just like more in that general thing of it. And then with Fourth Wing, it's more like, I feel like Cross reminds me a little bit of Satan. Not entirely at all, obviously. Like they are very different. But just like, he's kind of the leader of this school where people go to train and stuff. Divergent, because in my head, like I imagine Cross as 4 from Divergent. But I do feel like Ren kind of differentiates from those other women in those 3 books. She's more sarcastic and she doesn't care for the rules. She doesn't care that she breaks them. She's not scared of being caught. She just is kind of reckless. And I love her like humor. I love being inside of her thoughts. And I love her conversations with other people. I love the dialogue in this book. I like the friends that are introduced. Just like all the characters who are like main characters ever, I like. And I think that this book is really good and I'm really excited for the next one because the ending is obviously like in every freaking fantasy or dystopian novel, there's always a crazy ending that makes you want to read more. So that was my little update on Silver Elite. Now we're gonna move on to the next book that I have been reading that is also a new release, obviously, because that's what this video is about, is My Friends by Frederick Bachman, and I am actually 34% into this book. I started this book on, I believe, Friday when I was at work, and then I read some yesterday while I was at work and a little bit in the evening and stuff. And now here we are on Sunday and I haven't read anything yet because it's 11 a.m. So I wanted to give my little update here now, like 1/3 of the way through it. I'm having a great time reading this book, but I can also tell that if this book was written by any other author, I would think the storyline was so incredibly boring and I would probably have DNF'd it. But because this is not written by any other author and it's written by Frederick Bachman, I am mesmerized and I can't stop reading it because he has a way of words. And obviously I know this is a translated book because he writes in Swedish and I wish that I understood Swedish. I mean, I understand some because it is close to Danish, but it's not entirely the same. And I definitely would understand more by reading it in English. But whoever translates his books are doing a phenomenal job as well. So even though if you explain the storyline or like the plot, it's kind of like, okay, like that sounds so boring, but the way he writes is so incredibly good. I have genuinely never stumbled upon an author who writes better than him. It is literally like pure magic and like poesy in every single sentence that he writes. Like in chapter 1, I highlighted 3 quotes and I want to read some of my favorite quotes already from this book because it's crazy. But I guess let me just explain what the book is about, even though it's kind of hard to explain. I guess it's a lot about art. So basically we have our main character, one of our main characters, Louisa, who is kind of homeless. Like she's grown up in foster care, but she ran away like the day before her 18th birthday. And she is obsessed with this one piece of art because she saw it on a postcard in one of her foster homes. And ever since then, she's kept that postcard. and she is mesmerized by the painting that is on it. So she went to see it in real life, and she stumbles upon the artist of that painting. And it's like kind of, the painting has a story of some kids that are sitting on a pier. It's kind of hard to explain this, honestly. She's mesmerized by these stories, and she feels like these are her friends because she's very lonely. And then she meets this guy and she wants to know the whole story. So it's kind of multiple stories in this book, because you see the story of those kids on the pier. You get their point of views, some of them at least, from like 25 years ago when they were teenagers. And then you also get the present of Lisa meeting them as adults. You also kind of get some years in between, like from the artist and his friend's point of view from when they were teenagers up until the present and stuff. So they're like 40 years old in the present time, and she's 18. She just turned 18. But like back in the story that we hear in the pier, they were 14, and they're like this group of friends who were best friends at the time, and they all kind of have sucky lives. You can tell that it's kind of hard to explain this. So the book is obviously called My Friends. Kind of a story about friendship and what you would want to do for your friends, but also about art. I don't really know, because they keep saying like art is this and art is that and just like that. Let me just read a few highlights for you. So this is from chapter 1. There is a sort of happiness so overwhelming that it is almost unbearable. Your soul seems to kick its way through your bones. You can see a painting, and for a single moment of your life, just for a single breath, you can forget to be afraid. This is a painting of laughter, and you can only understand that if you're full of holes, because then laughter is a small treasure. Wait, I'm gonna cry reading this, like reading these quotes. Okay, let's just read one more. Because in an ugly place, he was born with so much beauty inside him that it was like an act of rebellion. In a world full of sledgehammers, his art was a declaration of war. I can't even. Like, how can you hear these quotes and not think that this writing is phenomenal? And it's like, these are just the things that I highlighted, but think about the way like every single sentence basically in this book is written that way. Every single sentence is written in such a way where you're like, where did that come from? Like, how do you learn to write that way? Like, I think it's just, he has a gift, truly. But I'm still enjoying to read more, and I think I'll read more tonight, but I gotta go to work soon. No, I am. Okay, it's time for the updates as always. So last night I finished My Friends by Frederick Buckman, and I want to give my final review and like my thoughts on it because I absolutely loved this book so freaking much. I read this book 5 stars, if you couldn't tell. In the beginning I was kind of like a little eerie about it. I was like, oh, I definitely like Beartown more, and like it's not really giving. I don't really care much about these characters, and I only like it because the writing is so good. And then more towards the end I started to feel more for these characters and care more for these characters, and I started crying. And by the end of it I'm like sobbing. I think I recorded myself last night as I was like sobbing. It just hit me, and I was talking to my friend Flo about it because we were reading it at the same time. Like, I vlogged it, that she sent me like end of chapter 46. I was like, you're kidding, I just finished chapter 46. Like, we're literally at the same part right now. And I explained to her like how reading a Frederick Buckman book, it's like getting the wind knocked out of you. Like, he'll write a sentence and I'm literally physically reacting like it's exactly like getting the wind knocked out of you, as if someone just punched you in the gut with that sentence, because that is how his writing feels. Can't explain to you how many times there was a quote or something else where I physically reacted, because it just hit that deep, and I have never experienced writing that can do something like that to me. And even though I felt that way, I was still gonna be like 4 because I didn't truly care about the characters, but then I did, you know, and by the end of it, it was a 5. And Flo also finished last night, and she also rates it a 5 stars. She also rated Bear Time 5 stars, if that tells you anything. But just, this book is just so good. I said in the beginning that it's about friendship, but it's also about so much more than that. It's about friendship, and it's about grief, and it's about art. Those are like the 3 main topics, and you kind of get 3 different stories, kind of. Like, you get that group of friends 25 years ago who all come from broken families with abusive households and all of that kind of stuff, and they search like refugee in their friendship. Like, their friendship is what keeps them afloat, and every single day they hang out for the entire summer. And then we have the storyline of one of our main characters, Louisa, who is an 18-year-old girl we meet in the beginning, and we kind of see her storyline and her friend Fish who she met at a foster home, and you kind of hear some of their stories and how they were friends. And then the third storyline is kind of the now, when she meets this guy named Ted, and how they kind of become friends, even though he's 25 years older, because Ted is one of the kids from 25 years ago. So it's kind of like, it's what they're doing in the now, but he's telling that story of his friendships to Louisa. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but the whole story kind of revolves around this one painting that is super famous and is worth millions and millions of dollars. And on the painting, there's painted 3 little kids sitting on a pier, and those are the kids that Louisa has dreamed about forever, because she found a postcard with this painting on, so she's been obsessed with that painting. And then she meets Ted, who is one of the kids who was painted on that painting. So he tells the story, kind of his life story, but not really, because it's only that one summer. I don't think you can understand what it's like unless you kind of read the book, but it's definitely like at the forefront. It's definitely like grief and what art can do to people, and how art is what keeps everything alive, even through grief, because someone painted something or did something or talked or danced or heard music or whatever, and that is art that keeps living even after you're gone. But for Ted, it's impossible to come home now, he realizes, because home was the people. One last quote, just because it's kind of about reading. In a library, you don't have to put up with reality there. It's as if thousands of strangers have given away their imaginary friends. They're sitting on the shelves and calling you as you walk past. There's an author called Donna Tartt who describes why a person falls in love with art. It's a secret whisper from an alleyway. Psst, you, hey kid, yes you. That's what libraries feel like for me. We need to move on from talking about this. Just read this if you think that you would like this kind of story, but at the same time, I didn't think that I would ever enjoy these kind of stories. I'm a romance reader, fantasy reader. I'm not this type of reader, but there's just something about it that compels you. And I definitely think you should give this one a try. But with that being said, we have very exciting stuff to talk about now. Today, it is May 20th, and May 20th means that Rewinded Back came out by Liz Tomford. I'm obsessed with this series, and I read Play Along in one of my last reading vlogs, and I loved it. I don't remember, I think I gave it 5 stars. And this is the last book in the series, which is so bittersweet. And I actually already started it. I'm 10% in, so I'll just let those clips roll of me starting this book, and then we'll talk about it later when I'm further in. But just know that I'm already loving it. So bittersweet. Ignore the noise in the background. It's my dryer and it's very loud. But I'm here to talk about Rewinded Back. I'm on chapter 11, which is 27% into the book, so I thought now was like an appropriate time to talk about it. If you do not know what this book is, It is the 5th and final book in the Windy City series by Liz Ford. So it has Mile High, The Right Move, Caught Up, Play Along, and then Rewriting Back, which is now the last one. It's a series of sports romances. So the first book and this one is hockey romance, and then the second one is basketball, and the third and fourth are baseball. And yeah, like I said, this one is a hockey one, but they're all independent standalone, or like they're all interconnected standalone, so you don't have to read the rest of the series, but it just feels so much more rewarding when you read the other ones because it's also found family. They're this friend group, and it's 5 couples total by the end of it, and so 10 people, and it's so good. Like, what makes this book even better than it would have normally if you just read the book is all the cameos and the characters of of the other 4 books that I all love. Like, those 4 books are so good. 2 of them I think are 5 stars, and 2 of them are like 4.5, and I've been so excited about this. So this book is Rio and Hallie, and they are childhood best friends. They lived next door to each other from when they were like 11/12 years old, and they were best friends, and like they dated and everything like that. And when they were 21, something happened. We don't know yet, but something happened that made Rio hate Hallie. He keeps saying like he should hate her and what she did hurt him so bad and all these things, and then they haven't spoken since then. So it's been 6 years. They're now 27, or she's like 25, 26. She ends up coincidentally moving in next door to him in Chicago. They used to live in Boston, and he's going to be renovating his house because she's an interior designer, and he already booked her before he knew that it was her. So that's interesting. She has to spend like the next 6 months renovating his house and like hanging out with him all the time basically, and they don't really know how to interact with each other because all they've ever known is like loving each other, being best friends, talking about everything, and just never fighting because they were so similar. And now 6 years later, they don't really know where to talk because it's not like they've interacted while they've hated each other. They just cut all contact. They haven't seen each other or spoken anything. So yeah, very interesting. And I personally enjoy second chance romances. I think it's so cute to like see couples come back together. Obviously it depends on why they broke up and like if it's toxic or anything, but obviously you could tell that it wasn't because they obviously still like love each other so much. So I'm really excited, and I mean I'm 23% in and I'm really enjoying it. Like I could tell that I'm gonna love it, but I can also tell like it's not, from my like guess right now, I think this is gonna be 4-star rate. Like it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like there's something about her writing that is so addicting, you just want to read it. But I haven't really like smiled or giggled that much. Like yes, with the friends, because I love those, but with their interactions. But I guess, I mean, I'm not that far in, so I can't really judge it yet. But I still am really enjoying it. Like every chapter I want to read more. And there's also, it's not like interchanging for every chapter, but there are chapters from when they were children, and it is dual point of view, which is amazing. I love dual point of view. So yes, but that was just my little, those are my thoughts right now. It's just that it's so good, but obviously I already know the characters. It's a lot easier to go into it because you don't have to like build connections. I mean, obviously Hallie I didn't know, but Rio and all the friends and the team and the city and the vibe of it, I already knew that, so it's easier to like go into it compared to a new book. But oh, and if you couldn't tell, I haven't gotten my physical copy. It hasn't even been shipped yet, so who knows when I'll get that. Maybe tomorrow if we're lucky. I'll keep you guys updated as I read this book and when I get the physical copy, hopefully before I finish it. and hot in here. I need to write this down. I love them. Hi guys, it's been a while. Actually, I don't know the last time I vlogged. Maybe Thursday. Today is Wednesday, but the next week. So it's definitely been a while. But I finished this book on Sunday. I went like camping with my parents, so I couldn't really record that much when I was there. And I already showed like my reactions. I didn't have more reactions than what I had already previously filmed. That was how I felt like throughout most of the book, just like giggling, smiling, and just having a great time. So I want to rate this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I think it was such a good like wrap up book. The epilogue, the last few pages, oh my gosh, I almost teared up. It was so just bittersweet to say goodbye to these characters, but I'm also so excited for her spin-off series, or like new series. I guess it's not really a spin-off, but you meet some of the characters in this book that is going to be in her next series, and I'm so excited about that, because then I hope we will get some cameos from these characters. But let me give my overall thoughts like of this specific book. I really liked the relationship between Hallie and Rio. I think it was not necessarily realistic, but I think it wasn't necessarily like realistic, because what are the chances that the person you lived next door to all your childhood, that you dated, also ends up moving in next to you in a completely different city, in a completely different state, right? Chicago. I mean, obviously there are unrealistic parts to it because it is a fictional book. Their relationship was so cute. I think they had kind of well communication, but also really not, because they broke up like 6 years ago, right? And they don't really talk about it. They know that both of them kind of have a little bit of hatefulness towards the other person, but they don't talk about it until later in the book, which obviously I know that that was like something that had to keep us on the edge of our seats, and if they just talked about it in the beginning, they would get together right away. But it can still be kind of like annoying sometimes, because just talk about it. In the timeline, I think it's like months before they talk about it, but I still really enjoyed seeing them like fall in love again. But I also enjoyed the past chapters where you could see them fall in love for the first time, like meet as kids when they were like 11 years old, and how they just were immediately drawn to each other, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. And then obviously just this whole series, I loved all the side characters that were in it, that were the couples from the previous books. It's so sad that it's over, but I want to do a little ranking of like the Windy City series. So my number 1 is The Right Move, which actually after I finished this on Sunday, I immediately went into rereading The Right Move, because I read that book over 2 years ago. So I was like, let me read it again. And guys, it was even better the second time. Like, I have rated it higher now on my Goodreads. So The Right Move is my number 1, Play Along is my number 2, this one is my number 3, and then Caught Up number 4, and Mile High number 5. But there's none of them that I hate. I like all of them. I like all the couples, and this is such a good series. That was my rating for this book, and that means the end of this video. The 3 books we read in this video were Silver Elite, My Friends by Frederick Backman, and then Rewinded Back by Liz Ford. And they were all really good rates, so that was perfect. Like, I think Silver Elite was a 4-star, right? And then My Friends 5 stars, and this one a 4-star. Overall, really been loving all the new releases. That was all for my video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next videos, which a lot of them from now on for a little bit will be moving vlogs. So keep an eye out for that. Bye!